I'm Evan Runkle, one of the co-writers and directors of the upcoming movie Field of Screams.
And I'm Alix Moad, the other co-writer and co-director of Field of Screams.
I'm so fucking excited for this movie. You have no idea. The fact that it's a local, like horror film too, made in Colorado. Before we get into that, like when did you guys I always ask this question first. When did you find yourself so enamored with filmmaking? Like when did that happen for you?
Yeah, so filmmaking has always been something that I've wanted to do. I remember being a very little kid going to see Phantom Menace, and just like the crowds being so hyped up for this movie that had been so many years in the making, and me not having the context of any of that because I was like five, and just being so excited that something could get this many people excited, it just blew me away.
Um, and I came to it much later, in the middle of college. I was a theater and psychology major, and my acting partner invited me to one of her film classes, and I went, and I was like, "You guys just watch movies and talk about them?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's amazing. I'm dropping the other two majors that I have and I'm doing this instead." Um, and then I figured out that like there was a lot I didn't know about filmmaking, and that I was gonna have to learn a lot to successfully get a degree.
Oh god.
But I did. I made it. I made it through. I learned a lot, and I kind of fell in love with like every part of the process. Like I kind of came to it as a writer, so I kind of really, I'm trying to find the word. I really like gravitated towards screenwriting. But like I really loved getting to learn all the little bits, like learn about lighting and learn about editing and learn about audio and learn about, cinematography and all of that. So I just kind of got to fall in love like with the whole process. Like really fresh, like as a young adult, which I think is a really unique experience, and I'm kind of glad it worked out that way for me, honestly. Like, I don't have that whole like, oh, it was a lifelong dream of mine. I was like, no, I stumbled into it in college, and it turned out I really loved every part of it.
That is a really like just interesting time in your life too. When you think you know what you want to do and
Yeah.
then that just happens. That's
Yeah.
insane. I
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be like I was going to college for psychology with the intent of like doing something with like sex education maybe, and then theater was just because I liked theater. And then I just totally changed gears, and I was like, actually, I'd like to do the secret third option of be a film major. I'll do that instead.
It's and I know this is a horrible, uh, comparison, but it almost reminded me of, that scene in Nightcrawler where Jake Gyllenhaal sees the news
Yes.
van open up and he's just enamored, like, "Oh shit, what is this?" You know?
Yes. No, it was exactly,
Ah!
yes. I went into this film class, and I can't even remember what movie they were talking about. I want to say it was an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Um, it might have been Vertigo, actually. And like, I didn't even really like Vertigo that much. I actually came out of it not loving Vertigo, but like that whole class and how it was structured, and the fact that people were like learning things like this and that you could teach stuff like this, like that was like 100% my Nightcrawler moment.
That is
That
just
being said,
awesome.
I have had a news van open up in front of me for a previous job, not a Nightcrawler moment for me. The world of news and journalism is not my passion.
That's how yeah, that sounds frightening.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's a world we both kind of got to step into, you more than me.
Yeah, Evan, what about the filmmaking process stood out to you, man? I mean, I feel you for the Phantom Menace moment where like we're so young. I don't understand why this is exciting, but I'm excited. So like well, let's
Right.
get into it. Yeah. So like what happened there with you?
Yeah, so after that, it was always something that I loved, but it wasn't something that people I knew did. until kind of in my middle teens. I found out that some people, we're both from Iowa originally. And I found out that some people were making movies in Iowa, and this was just like a group of friends, uh, older guys, and they were all just making 80s inspired slasher, gory, just crazy DIY movies. And as a teen, I'm like, well, I got to get involved with these guys. Like, which I'm glad that they were cool, because, if you're a teen, like, let me go meet these older guys, that could be a bad time. But it all worked out. And, it really showed me that people could do that. And one of them had gone to school for like effects makeup. The rest of this kind of group did not have a lot of big film background, and they were just making equipment out of PVC pipe, and they were just doing it. They weren't getting help. They weren't asking anybody. They were just, doing it because they wanted to, and because they loved it, and it made them happy, and it kind of opened the door that was something that people could do.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm just imagining being that young and them putting you as like the lead PA or something, but you're testing out some kind of stunt rig, like an old pickup
Yeah, it
and a
was
piece of twine or something. Yeah,
a lot of weird stuff like that. Yeah, there's like plywood with skateboard wheels as dollies, that kind of deal, and you're just like, this is great.
I do miss
And
those days.
yeah, that's the main thing with filmmaking, I think, is you just can't let the magic go away for yourself, and you'll make it work every
Yeah.
other way, because it's just great.
So when did you guys find each other? When did this collaboration occur? I mean, you said you're both from Iowa. Did it happen there? Did you both just happen to move here and then it just spawned?
Yeah, so we met in college actually. We met in a film class. I believe it was like an experimental film class,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
not at all our forte, but it was like one of the only like production classes offered that semester. So I think we both were like, yes, let me make a movie. Let me make a movie. Um, and like it was a small class, so we all kind of like got to know each other pretty well. But I remember specifically one day Evan came in and he was like really excited because of like a Ghostbusters movie that was coming out. Ecto coolers were back on shelves.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, you don't know what an ecto cooler is? I'm like, no, I have no idea. So the next time we had class, he just comes in and like sets an ecto cooler down on my desk. And he's like, that's for you. And like the rest is history. We're together, like we're engaged.
Yeah.
And so we've been like together for like 6 7 years. Um and we've been making short films pretty much since we met in college. Like ever since that class, like we kind of just started making short films together. And um
And with that math, I guess most of that time we've been working on the script for what is now this feature we're
oh my
doing this
god,
summer.
yeah.
So
Really?
that's
That long?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Holy
started the
cow.
script I think 4 years ago is the math
Yeah.
I have on that.
A lot of that's the fault of COVID giving us just a lot of
Fair.
time.
To pour over it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not a lot of time to make a movie that has a decently sized cast and a
Yeah.
couple different locations.
Yeah.
Not a COVID friendly movie, but yeah, it gave us time to really like pick it apart, get it to a place where we really liked it. Um, we wrote it when we lived in Iowa, and Evan kind of was the one who really like it was kind of your vision, I guess, from the start.
Yeah. So it's like the name suggests, a farmhouse horror movie. And a lot of that was like, man, we're here in Iowa. We know so many people with farmhouses. This will be easy.
Oh no.
Yeah, and in that meantime, we moved out here, to Colorado.
not as many farmhouses in
No.
No, not
Colorado.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But what we did find was just so many amazing actors and so many amazing crew options that were like, man, I know location wise it'd be easier to go back to film this, but there's so many people here and it would be even harder to ship them all to Iowa just for
Yeah.
a farm. And we managed to find one.
Yeah, we found a pretty good location. Like we were both, I think, really surprised with what we found, and we're really excited to start working with it. Because it kind of like just fits exactly what both of us have been
Yeah.
imagining in our heads. Like,
Seriously.
yeah, it's this like really cool farmhouse down in like southern Colorado, and it's
Okay.
like it's like in town, but it also has like acres of land that's like on the property. So you're not like isolated. So you can still like run to
Mm.
the gas station if you need, but you can like shoot to make it look like you're on a farm. So it's like kind of perfect in that
Holy
way.
cow. Well,
Yeah.
for people listening to this, you know, if they're looking to make their own film, short film, feature, whatever, what is it like, one, scouting locations, but then also reaching out to the owners of these properties and saying like, "Hey, we're making a movie. Can we borrow your land for, like a week or two?" Like how does that occur?
Location had been one of the hardest parts of
Yes.
this whole thing,
Of
which is
course.
funny, yeah, because the inspiration was we're like, man, yeah, farm horror, yeah, it'll be the easiest thing in the world. Uh, but yeah, it was just so many emails. Colorado has a location directory. Um, None of those happened to work out.
Hmm.
Um, then yeah, and then there's a lot of event spaces that are ranches, and we reached out to them. They didn't quite work out either. Oddly, what we ended up doing was going through Airbnb. Um, yeah, and just finding
Oh,
a guy
nice.
off of there who was up for it. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how that managed to work out. We made a list of all the options on Airbnb. This one was at the top, and it happened to work out because the place is just already spooky and vintage, and I'm so excited to show it
Oh
off.
yeah. As for like how to do this, like how to like get into it, and I think this is something we've both been finding to be like really true about every aspect of independent filmmaking is like you just have to be ready for rejection. Um,
Yeah.
I have sent so many emails, messages, everything to people, and I've had some like really truly fantastic interactions with people through like fundraising, through reaching out to people for like crew and cast, through um like reaching out for like other services that we need as like a business, a small like an independent film. um but a lot of it is just getting comfortable with the fact that people either don't want to talk to you or they're gonna let you know that they don't want to talk to you. Um, and so like really it's just like you find the places that look good to you, craft up just like a very clear, simple email like, hey, I'm doing this. Your place looks great. Can we talk about this? And if they don't say anything, uh that's it. Or you can try and follow up. If they reject you, you just say thank you, appreciate your time to move on. And if they're interested, uh, then good for you. Worked out. Like at that point, it's just down to your social skills, which is another big thing with
I was about to
independent
say.
filmmaking. Is it's been a huge like baptism by fire for like social skills and
Yeah.
networking and stuff that I don't think either of us are necessarily bad at, but we hadn't really had to test ourselves on it until now, until having to email and Instagram message random strangers for months at a time, and really like build up uh, build up our skills on how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how because I made a web series right before COVID,
Mm.
and I've been acting for coming up on like 11 years. So I know that part. But when it
Yeah.
came to the business end, like shit, I don't know what to say to these people. Or like you said, they say yes and you go, cool. Fuck, what do I do now? Like what?
Exactly. You're like, I didn't think I'd get this far.
Exactly. Yeah. To be honest, they usually hang up by now.
Hmm.
Give me 1 second. So that's awesome that the location worked out. You have everything lined up. You have your cast, and they're all incredible. But I do want to go back really quick, just because I'm a fan of screenwriting. I love writing. I love the writing process. When it came to, like you said, you broke down the script several times and kept rewriting it. What was your writing process like, especially when it involves two of you? What was that like? I have two dry erase boards that I will fill almost every single day and then wipe down right before a podcast interview or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
What is your creative process when it comes to writing?
Yeah, so oddly, a lot of our inspirations have been writer director duos. Growing up, those guys back in Iowa who taught me all the DIY stuff, it was mostly two guys writing, directing as a team. Um, Another team out of Iowa are the guys that wrote A Quiet Place.
Oh,
They're originally from there, and they went to the same college that we did. So since there was that much in common, we've kind of just poured over interviews that they've done. Uh, so a lot of it's been listening to what these guys do to collaborate. It's been a lot of kind of just putting together a game plan and then passing off back and forth the computer.
Yeah, there have been multiple times where like we'll like take an HDMI cord out, hook the laptop up to the TV, and like one of us will have the laptop and be writing on the laptop, and the other one will be like looking at the TV and being like, okay, so I don't know about this line here. I don't know about that. Why don't we revisit that? And then like the person with the laptop is like, yes, okay, what about this? No, you hate that? Okay. What about this? No, you hate that? Okay. And to be honest, that's a lot of what writing this script was like, I feel,
Yeah.
was a lot of, oh, you hate this? Okay, let's see if we can find something we either both hate equally or we both are kind of okay with. Cause like I feel like you, Evan, like wrote the bulk of the script. And then when it came to revisions or when it came to like specific characters was when I kind of hopped in. And I know it definitely changed from like the first time you wrote, but I feel like a lot of it was like you had a really solid idea and then I came in and pooped on all of it. And then we collaborated to make something that we both really liked. Um
Yeah, I think a big thing is just together having an idea of where the story's going, and discussing that, and then you can kind of together back and forth fill things in.
yeah.
And then yeah, if you're the one that's done something and you're collaborating, you kind of have to go, all right, here's what I did, what you think? And honesty is important.
Honesty is very important. Yeah.
And everything's made in the revisions.
We actually like when we say we've been working on this for like 4 years, like we mean it. Like this script was in revisions through this year. Like the final
wow.
version of the script that we're going off of and working with now didn't really exist until like last spring, right after we decided we wanted to put it into production.
Yeah, a lot of that was because of casting. We just were looking at some of the options, and we started meeting people through our producer, who Calvin Shepard.
Oh yeah, big C.
Yeah, he's yeah, he's been key in anything happening with this at all
Yeah.
since we're transplants to here and knew nobody.
Yeah, he's been
He's
fantastic.
yeah, and a lot of stuff going through him. It just kind of opened up some holes that we definitely had to
Yeah, yeah,
fix.
we there was kind of a couple character changes, like, right at the last in the last leg of it,
Wow.
which, I mean, we've cast all of those characters, like, it's
Yeah.
not like it's a surprise or anything. But yeah, no, it was really interesting because we had been working with it for so long with the main character Alan and his girlfriend Jessica, and a problem we'd really been struggling with was like, how do we make it so this character Jessica doesn't want to be at this farmhouse but has a motivation other than there's not a Starbucks here. And like for some reason we really couldn't crack it. Like we really could not put anything, because we were having to like do this like dance of like, well, it can't be something so bad that it overshadows the grief of your partner
Yeah.
losing his grandfather,
Mhm.
but it can't be something like so inconsequential like it was that it's like, this is stupid, this character is annoying, why is she doing this? Because we wanted conflict. Like we don't want them to just be like,
Yeah.
oh, I love you, everything's great, oh sweetie, because that's not interesting to watch. And you got to have something interesting going on between when the scarecrow shows up to kill people. So one day Evan just kind of like walked in the room and he was like, hey, what if Alan has a boyfriend? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like,
Ooh.
well, we've been finding like a lot of like actors in our search, and a lot of like male actors, and like more so than like, female actors that we feel would fit like the role. And then also I think it kind of gives that character like a better reason to not really be comfortable like in a rural area and like in a
Yeah.
farmhouse, but like it's not like so like much of a problem that it overshadows anything. I'm like, you are a genius. You are so right. You are beautiful. Thank you for bringing this up. And so like, yeah, like months ago, we like went through the script, like retooled this whole character. And then I realized that took out like one of the women in our script. And I was like, okay, wait. Okay, wait, we gotta have another woman in here. We can't just have like this side character and like this one. We can't do that. So we had to retool a different character who was a lot easier to um switch the genders of, just because they were kind of like hey, this is your like party friend, your friend who like brings alcohol and just wants to have a good time. And it's like, well, this could be literally anybody. Their gender is not important to this role. But it was important to me specifically to have women be in this movie, because like
Absolutely.
I just think it's important for women to be represented in movies, and I think it's important to be aware of when you're be aware of like making sure your cast isn't misrepresentative of
Mm.
like a group of people, because I was like, well, this is a lot of guys now, and that's like cool and that's fine, but I really would like to take some of these actresses that we were looking at, and get a couple of them in here, and we're losing spots for them, so let's open up one of these parts. But yeah, that was like a really cool process that happened months ago after we'd had the script written and finished for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd had it like finished, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna make it, and then we're getting into the beginning stages of casting it, and then we're like, hey, what if we change the entire, what if we have to go through and change like the entire script, and change a bunch of conversations, and change an entire character motivation, and therefore change all these other character motivations? What if we
Yeah.
did that? um
But in the end, it makes so much more sense.
it makes a
That's the
lot more
wildest part.
sense. It
Yeah.
makes so much more sense, and it's so much more fun, and it is giving us the opportunity to work with um just some really great people and do some really interesting things. I say vaguely as I try not to
Spoil our own
spoil our
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, spoil plot points of the movie.
I do love when those ideas or the solutions that you couldn't find for days or weeks. You could be laying down in your bed. It's 2 in the morning. You just gotta wake up and then run to your office. You're like, oh, this might not work, but let's. And then just it starts to work. So I love when those happen. And I do want to
Yes.
say, like, for anybody who's weary of like working with their partner on a project, you should probably do it because that's when you really figure out who that other person is and if you guys can do
Mhm.
absolutely anything together. Like I've been wanting to say it for for like 20 minutes, but I wasn't sure when I can just like segue this in. The fact that you guys you're engaged, you've been together for as long as you have been, and you're working on a feature together after all the shorts, and you can still like you have something, it just works. Things blend together. You're not, I mean, I would pray, you're not holding a butcher knife on the other end of the kitchen, just kind of like, oh, if he writes that idea down, I'm just going to toss this out. Like it's not one of those things. You guys have, simple solutions and compromises to your creative process. And I think a lot of people need to remember that. It's not a win-lose situation. It's if it doesn't work for one, let's try something else. Like that's just insanely admirable. So I had to bring that up and,
Well,
uh,
thank you.
make you blush a little bit because I
Well,
think that's
thank
just
you.
fucking cool.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
what about the so like you have the script, you have your actors, you're going into a sort of crowdfunding scenario. Walk me through that because I've heard some horror stories about, oh, we were like $2 away and then nothing.
Yeah.
So, because at this point, this is almost like a filmmaker's tutorial episode of not only getting to know you, but it's like, what should we do? Well, try this. So when it came to like the crowdfunding part, were you nervous? Were you a little apprehensive? Were you super confident that you'll make it way past the budget? I mean, it's kind of an unfair question to ask, but given that you've gone over it already, like where were your heads at when you first started that?
So we didn't sleep properly for a couple months.
Yeah.
Um, it was not there's this quote, and it's not really a quote, it's like a whole essay that somebody wrote that was, like, tacked on to, like, one of the cork boards in the theater department, at the college that we went to, and I was in the theater. I think I was, like, waiting for, like, one of my professors to be, like, available during their office hours, and so I just kinda started reading this thing, and it's one of those, like, really kind of high concept, wanky essays about, like,
Mm,
art, but it's one that really resonated with me because the whole kind of idea of it is no matter what you do in life, you are going to suffer. So you should figure out how you're willing to suffer and what you're willing to suffer for. And the entire crowdfunding process was a real I don't even know how to describe it, but it was the thing that made me go, "We are suffering to do this. We are fully suffering, but we're doing it because this is what we're willing to suffer for. We're willing to take on this emotional baggage, because it is really stressful." Like, I spent the entire summer, um researching other, Kickstarters. So I would just go to Kickstarters that were, like, doing well, and, like, kinda see what they offered for, rewards, see, like, what level like, how much money they were asking for, like, for their goal and how much money they were asking for specific tiers.
mm,
I read a ton of Kickstarter articles. Kickstarter has, like, actually a really good, like, bank of resources on, like, what makes projects successful, what you should do leading up to a project, what you should be doing during, what you should do after. They have a lot of good like resources for where to source materials for your rewards, like if you're doing t-shirts or posters or stuff like that. They
mm.
have people that they like work with commonly and they have like whole lists. There's like, yeah, here you can check these people out if you need this kind of service or this kind of service. Um, so there's a ton of research. A ton of research went into it. um, I have accidentally into like social media management and content creation as like a side gig at like every job that I work at now. And so we were kind of like, okay, we're going to need a social media presence. So I was like, okay, well, let's start that early and let's get that out there so we can like get people excited and get people like wound up. Um, and something that I was really keeping in mind was we both, but I think me more so, taken like independent content creation, like independent creators on like YouTube or
Mm.
whatever. Like I'm a huge Critical Role fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we both watch stuff like that where it's like people who like put together like a little group and a little company and they're like, hey, we're gonna do what we want and while they make good content, like the magic there is like those people. The magic is those personalities. So I was like, okay, like I'm not saying we're like super special and charming, but like we got to put faces to this project pretty early if anyone's going to care about this. Otherwise, it's just like another like random movie page on Instagram, because I don't
Oh,
know if you've been to the movie side of Instagram.
oh, I have.
It's
Yeah.
it's
There's a
deep.
lot.
It's
Yeah.
deep and it's intense. So I was like, let's put faces to this. Let's get a personality going. We were able to get our actor for our main scarecrow, Randy Rockford, out for like some photos and like use those to build up excitement, and that was really great. And then when it came time for like marketing, we kind of just started throwing stuff at the wall and to see what stuck. And we're not quite yet at the point where we know what stuck. We just know something did. Something made it so that people cared about what we were doing.
Yeah, I think there was a deal on 2 inch by 2 inch stickers, which is about the size for a QR code, the name of a movie, and the phrase, "Hey, wanna help make a horror movie?" Um, so we got about 2,000 of those. Uh, and
Holy
between
shit.
us, our friends, people that we know across the country, even, we sent them to them. We've put them up all around this state. And I have no idea if that helped at all or
Yeah,
if we wasted our time a lot. Uh,
but like
but something worked. So who is to say?
yeah, but like the energy of that is like if you're like, well, how do you do this? How do you even like do a crowdfunding campaign? Like you have to be willing to try anything. Like if it's your first time,
Yeah,
you got to be willing to try anything and everything. We put stickers up around Denver, Boulder, Loveland, Fort Collins. We sent them
that's
off to
so
our
cool.
friends. We put posters up. We did a talk at New Belgium Brewing because they were doing like a little like mini like talk series that they do around Halloween. And we're like, well, hey, we're making a horror movie. Can we come talk? They're like, yes, please come talk. We bought ad space on like one of our favorite podcasts that's about movies. Oh my God, what else did we?
There's a zine out of Portland that I
Yes,
found that was selling ad space for like $10. So we put an
Oh,
ad in
yeah.
there.
we put an ad in a horror zine. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh we bought Instagram ads. Like we just kind of we're like, okay, we don't know what's gonna work, so let's just try everything. And part of that is like that's all money. Also,
Yeah.
that's money and that's a ton of time. And that's a big thing is not only do you have to be willing to just kind of try stuff, you have to be able to kind of put the money and time into it. Because it's like it's hard to build like a social media following, and it's
Oh,
really hard to get your message out there when there's like so much on the internet. There's so much like in physical spaces, like there's so many posters and stickers and everything. Like I don't know if you've been to like Boulder, like I don't know if you've been to Boulder recently, but
oh,
like
it's nuts.
the
Yeah.
posts, yeah,
Yeah,
that they have in the middle of the pedestrian walkway
yeah.
are just like covered with stuff. Like you're not the only one doing doing something, and you're not the only one doing something they're passionate about. So like you kind of have to be willing to try a little bit of everything because you don't know what's going to catch people's attention, and you don't know where you're going to kind of uh stick out, I guess, or
Yeah.
like be unique and like really get people's attention. So it was a lot of that. And then I kind of alluded to this earlier, but once the Kickstarter was up and going, um, we then transitioned to messaging all of the complete strangers that followed us on Instagram and saying, "Hey, wow, thank you so much for following us. Will you give us money, please? Please go check out our project. Again, thank you for following us, but please give us money, please."
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a lot. This is not a flex, but we have I think around 1,500 followers.
You
Um,
do. You guys are fucking crushing the social media marketing for this thing.
Appreciate it. It's
Holy
been
shit.
a lot.
That's been mostly her knowing what she's
It's
doing.
Oh,
it's been a ton. It's been a ton of stuff. But yeah, like we messaged probably half those people, I think. So about 750 people just
Probably.
sending messages out like, "Hey, thanks for, supporting the page. We're independent, so our community means everything. Also, we need money. So, give us money, please." Um I guess a lot of independent filmmaking is writing copy. So if you don't have a
Mhm.
good handle on writing copy, I would maybe recommend that cuz like I went into this terrified. We both went into this terrified because we know Kickstarters aren't guaranteed, and we thought about doing Indiegogo where we could set a goal and then just keep whatever we got.
Yeah.
Um and we thought about a number of options, but we wanted to do Kickstarter because I mean the name recognition helps, and it helps when you're trying to explain to your relatives like what
Yeah.
what you're doing. Yeah, when they're like, "Oh, how do I give you money?" It's like, "Okay, so um but then I also really agree with like the psychology of Kickstarter, which is kind of what they're focused around at this point, is that if you give people an end date and you give people a definitive goal, that's actually going to motivate people to give you money as long as you put in the work
Yeah.
beforehand. And so a lot of it was just a ton of work, a ton of begging strangers for money, a ton of walking around Colorado's cities and putting up stickers and bothering people. But we're also both really like fortunate to have incredibly supportive friends and family. And
Yeah.
that is like a big thing Kickstarter is very clear about too. Is they're like most of your money is going to come from people you know,
Yep.
so you better make sure that you have like a good base, like a good support base if you want your project to go anywhere. Um and we're lucky enough that we do have like a really good we've got great friends and family that showed up when it mattered and helped make this happen. Like it's not
Yeah.
it's not just the strangers we begged for money, like people we've known our whole lives, people we've met in the last few years, people we've met like a single time at like a party. Like it's just like there's been an incredible amount of generosity, and that's something you can't really plan for or like market for. It's kind of something that you have to have facilitated in your life.
And this process has been shockingly positive.
Yes.
Um for the longest time with making films, it's kind of felt like you were fighting the whole world to make your art. And then since we came out here and we met up with Calvin and we've met a lot of his social circle and we've reached out and met some folks on our own, it's just been such a supportive environment that if we had not found, I don't think we would have felt like we would be able to make a feature film
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, like you're
But
Absolutely.
very connected
yeah,
to the community around here. I don't know why like we're telling you, but like
right.
like there's a lot of talented people out here and there's a lot of
Oh,
people
it's
who are
nuts.
just so excited to like collaborate.
Yeah, everybody and it's just only grown in the best way in the, 10 plus years I've been involved in it, where you are making, what you consider like, oh, it's our unknown indie, or, like who knows what'll happen. And then people just come out in droves because I think on your part, they see how passionate you are about it. Like the only true comparison I have to what you're doing is the first film I was ever a PA on, which was like 2010, maybe. We did a proof of concept teaser, shot that, and then we had something called a Panhandlers Ball, where we just invited friends and family
Ah,
to come and donate money before I think Kickstarter and Indiegogo were what they wanted to do. It just like, but seeing how things have changed and how people are embracing creativity and just they want to support any way shape they can. But you guys are diving into, your marketing, you're emailing people, you're cold calling, you're doing everything you can to make to essentially like make sure this baby survives, for lack of a less morbid
Yeah.
description.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of everything you've done, you have your script locked, you have your cast, you're gonna start production here soon. I would think. Um, what outside of this like keeps you two satiated? I mean, you're engaged, you're living together, you probably have day jobs outside of this as well. What outside of what I can only imagine is like 20 hours of your day keeps you satiated and happy? Like, what do you guys like to do outside of this? What keeps a smile on your face?
I like the busyness. That's I guess if one was to point out a red flag, it's that I like to keep busy, and this is exactly the kind of thing that I like to keep busy with.
I think the kids would call that a beige flag. It's
A
your
beige
beige
It's
flag.
flag,
beige
yeah.
flag,
Okay,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
see.
that's your beige flag.
Um, because otherwise it's a lot of watching movies or thinking about future projects or thinking about other people's projects, and I'm just always pestering her about things that need done, and she has to remind me to chill for a minute.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think you can see it on the camera, Tyler, but we are surrounded by 1,100 DVDs, in our living room.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh,
This has been I went into this relationship knowing that this was how it was gonna be. First time I went to his like apartment, I was like, this is a lot of DVDs. Like this is so much. Um and it I think that's yeah, there's DVDs on every wall. There are movie posters on every wall.
fuck
There is a
yes.
film reel that is labeled as Da Vinci Code Part 2 that hangs on our wall. Just like a metal film reel that was used for Da Vinci Code Part 2. Like the
Such a
second part
random.
of that movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Um
The other side is for Beer Fest.
yeah, the other side's for
Oh,
Beer Fest.
God, yes.
Um, but I like not to like simplify Evan at all, but like he does eat, sleep, and breathe this entirely. Like even like you've been branching out and you do have other hobbies. Like you've gotten really into baking, but you refuse to bake anything that is not movie related.
Yeah,
You
I've
only
seen
bake cakes that are
it's the
movie related.
cakes, right? The themed cakes.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
hoping you'd bring that up because I saw those. Like, what? How can I get invited? 'Cause this is fucking sick.
Most of them are for parties that our producer Calvin puts together, and I'm just like,
That's
all
fair.
right, I'll bring the cake. I hear you.
Yeah, it's like a week away. He'll be like a week beforehand. He'll be like, "Hey, Evan, so I want to do a movie marathon. Can you make a cake? Thank you. See you there." We're like, "Okay, I guess we'll make a cake." Um, me though, I am kind of one of those people that, and I think we're both kind of like this, but Evan is a little bit more focused of a person than I am. Where I just amass hobbies. So like, um it's kind of whatever I'm in the mood for. Like every few months I'll pull out my guitar and pretend I can play guitar and I'll play Riptide by oh, what's his name?
Vance Joy.
Vance Joy, yeah. I'll play Riptide by Vance Joy and then a month later I'll pull it out and do the same thing again. Um but like I really love video games like a lot. Which is another thing I didn't get into until I was an adult. Because my parents were very
Oh
like
wow.
anti video game. They were very much like, no, you're gonna read. You're gonna read books. We're not getting you video games. I was like, dang, okay. Not even the little dog thing on the Nintendo. Okay. Um, but like as an adult, like living with people who like have video game consoles, I like got really into video games and I'm like gonna be starting The Last of Us Part 2 pretty soon, and I'm
Oh
so
damn.
excited to get into that. I'm so stoked. Um, but yeah, I also like walks. I walk a lot of places. So like I just like to walk around or like walk around like the city or walk around in nature. Um, I think because I don't drive. So like walking is just something I have to do. And so it's something I've made my peace with. So it's like, okay, well, this is a part of my day, so I'm gonna just find joy in it, I guess.
Yeah. No e-scooter or rollerblades or anything? You're just
Oh, no, I
walking?
do no, I do scooter. No, no,
Okay,
don't
okay.
don't get it twisted. I
Yeah.
do scooter and e-bike every now and then. But like I we when we lived in Iowa, the public transportation was not nearly as good as it is in Fort Collins. And Fort Collins public
Fair.
transportation could be better. But like so I was used to walking miles at a time when we lived in Iowa.
Holy crap.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I think I've just gotten like oh, I keep not remembering words I'm trying to use today. It's when
It's a
you're a
Monday.
prisoner and like you like Stockholm syndrome. I think I've gotten Stockholm syndromed into like really loving walking because it's something I just have to do so
You had to do
much.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I will say, yeah, I would never have guessed, I guess I would hope the decor of your place is what I would imagine it would be, but you're on the professional side of your homestead.
Yeah, we're trying.
I If you saw the other side of my office, it's just like Blu-rays and movie posters between I
Nice.
won't say the name.
Nice.
Oh yeah, we are on a strike. I won't say the name of the movies anymore. But the one that's based off of Oppenheimer mixed with a popular Mattel toy. There's a
Mm.
really awesome poster of that I found. Um, so I feel so very seen by the walking and the baking and the movies. I just I think my girlfriend and I connected over the fact that I have a poster of a film that nobody knows about that stars Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy that I'm sure you guys could guess at some point. Came out in 2005, Wes Craven. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, she
Yeah.
walked into my apartment, little studio, and she looked at that and said, "No fucking way you like that movie." Because she loves that movie. So
That's
that's just
awesome.
an inherent bond. But yeah, I love seeing what creatives do because it's what we bleed. It's what we breathe. Is just like that whole thing. It's really hard to completely separate yourself, and if you do, it almost feels like you're lazy, right? Like you're
Uh-huh.
not progressing.
Don't yeah, no, it's that is the struggle. I think I'm a lot better at relaxing than he is, because 'cause I'll be like, "Oh, hey, do you wanna, like, chill out, play a video game?" He's like, "Why would I do that? I could be doing things related to our movie, our child, our baby, the movie. I could be doing things to nurture that." I'm like, You're right. You're right. I'm gonna play some Last of Us, and you do whatever you need to do, man. You go for it. You go
You
right
gotta let it
ahead."
out. You gotta let the flow
Exactly,
flow.
yeah.
So, I mean, with everything we've talked about, everything you guys have gone through and are going to, do for the rest of your lives together, especially creatively and personally, I wanted to see if you had maybe a shared piece of advice you could give to our listeners. Or maybe they want to be filmmakers, maybe they want to write something, but what's a piece of advice you two have hung on to that I could share with everybody here?
I touched on this a bit, but I think that the only reason that all this has been working has been kind of keeping it positive.
Mhm.
And it's something that I kind of hold on to because it's a hard thing to do, but it's just kind of what makes the whole process worth it. Like all the people that we've met through this, the cast, the crew, just different people involved in the film community, people we've hassled for money. They're almost entirely nice people.
And positive experiences.
Yeah, and good experiences, and just leaning into that makes it, I mean, it'd be a dream either way, but
Yeah.
it makes it nice and not just work.
Yeah, definitely focusing on keeping, like, a positive mindset, keeping confidence, like, remembering why you're doing this. Preparing to talk to you, Tyler, I actually listened to your episode with, Troy Baker,
Oh,
And
sick.
yeah, something he said I honestly really resonated with me, like, with where we're at is, like, he had a whole, like, story around it, but what it came down to is just not letting fear keep you from doing things, and I think that's kind of like the other side of that coin, like, you have to stay positive, and you have to hang on to that positivity, because if you don't, that fear kinda creeps in, and that's gonna be the thing standing in your way more than anything else. Like your own fear is gonna be standing in the way. Is
Oh,
something I
yeah.
think we've definitely experienced.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing in the world to not do it.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly easy to not write a feature length script, do marketing research, build a social media following, crowdfund for like thousands of dollars, put together a crew, pay people, put together a cast, film a movie. It's really easy to not do that. I would recommend if you want to like do something easy to like not do it. Um, but there's a reason you do it, and it's
Yeah,
because you love it.
yeah, no one does this because it's easy or because it's a way to make money.
Oh, yeah.
No. You do it because it feels weird not to, because
Yeah,
it hurts to not be doing it.
yeah,
It's the same reason you eat and you sleep and you drink, and if you feel like you have to, you make a movie.
yeah. Yeah, so, like, if you're out there and you're thinking, "Oh, hey, I think I wanna make a movie. I think I wanna write something. I think I wanna be creative." Be prepared to be a really positive person out of pure necessity. I'd be very prepared.
All that advice is incredibly sound, especially with how deep in it you guys are right now. I mean, you're in the midst of producing this feature that one day is going to be done, and they're gonna have to do it all over again. So
Right.
back to that labor of love sort of thing. But I know we've talked about little moments here and there throughout your entire, production process. But I did want to see, we do party stories on this show. I wanted to see if there's an experience that stood out, whether it's crowdfunding, like cold calling people, whether it's doing the Kickstarter or just casting. Do you have any like weird or crazy stories? Maybe just one story that you guys can share about the that I don't know that moment in the production process.
I knew this was coming, and I finally did think of one while we were talking.
Yes.
Go for it. Go for it.
So, for some reason, while we were following people from the movie page, one of the people that decided to follow us back was the director of Sharknado. Yeah, not sure why. Big fan though. So that was exciting. And then Alex chose, while finding all these different people to message hassling them for money, to include the director of Sharknado. um the
Please tell me he
message
got back to
was
you.
the message was seen. That
Yeah,
is what I have
he
for
left
you.
us on red. We were
But
let
that's totally fair when people are asking you
To
for
be
money.
left on red by the director of Sharknado is an honor.
It was worth his time to read it, or at least open it.
Exactly. He opened it and went, "I don't think so," and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He
that's
was
that's what I expected. I'm honored that he left us on red.
Yeah.
Absolutely honored.
he was clearly just checking his messages constantly. So I mean,
Yeah.
he's active, and I'm honestly, I won't be surprised if you guys because he didn't unfollow you, right?
No.
No, no, he just looked at it, was like, I don't think so," and went
Maybe he's
on with his
waiting to
day.
see, like, oh, I'll see what this does first, and the next one maybe I'll I'll
Next one,
kick like
yeah,
40
yeah.
bucks there. Like, I don't know what
I
sci-fi
would have
paid him.
loved if like $5 appeared in the Kickstarter and we're like, that's the guy.
Like
That's
that's
the
him.
guy!
Because you can put, I don't know, a response or something if you donated money, right? Can you put like a little caption like "good luck" or
Think so.
Maybe? I'm actually not sure because nobody did that.
Yeah, that's
So
Okay.
either none of our friends like us that much to be that cute,
or you can't.
or you
Yeah,
can't.
that's fair.
Yeah, I'm not sure which it is.
I'm just
But
picturing
yes,
a very specific amount donated and then just an emoji of a shark and a tornado, and you're like, "I fucking knew it." You know,
I
like
knew it.
Right.
I knew it.
I that is awesome. Like, of
He
all
was so mad at me. He
I was like,
was
"Why'd you
he
do
was
that?"
furious. I was like, "I don't know, maybe he'll be into it." Like
Yeah,
you gotta take a chance.
his
You gotta
movie has,
take a
like,
risk.
7 sequels, so he's gotta have
Yeah.
Right.
I was
something.
like, "This guy knows about the hustle, okay? At the very least, he's not gonna be mad. At the worst, he's gonna ignore us," and that's what he did. And I respect it. I respected it.
Screenshot it, print it out, and put it right above the canned film reel.
I
It'll be
might.
Right.
good.
I might.
Well, of course, we already know what we're going to promote with this episode. That goes without saying. And you guys reached well over your goal, but is there any other way others can support your film or like spread the word?
We are working on a way to do that at the moment. And you should check out our Instagram page, Field of Screams Film, for the up to date information on that. Nothing concrete at the moment, but we are working on a way to keep people engaged and like keep people supporting if they weren't able to support during the Kickstarter. So yeah, keep an eye on our socials. Our Instagram is the most up to date. But yeah, that's we're just all in on the movie. All in on it.
I love it.
That's the only thing we got going on.
I can't wait. Oh, I guess I should ask. When are you guys going to start shooting? When is the anticipated start date?
May 2024. Because
Okay,
we wanted to
okay.
capitalize on Halloween for crowdfunding, and we have a lot of outdoor shots that cannot have snow in them. So it's gotta be pretty late. Pretty towards the middle of the year if we're gonna avoid snow at that point.
That is a
Hopefully.
great point. Yeah, right. Especially
Yeah, we're
here.
hoping.
Yeah.
Mhm,
We didn't get a huge
mhm.
storm this year. I'm hoping we get one maybe in April next year and then it's done.
That would be great.
That'd be
Just
the dream.
cut
That's
it out.
that's what we're dreaming for, yeah, that's what we're
But
hoping for.
if you guys need help and that happens, we'll go buy a bunch of fake corn and then put it on, those weird wheelbarrow looking things, the flatbeds at Home Depot.
Yeah,
Just use that
yeah,
as a
yeah, we
background.
can do
Yeah, it'll be
that,
fine. It'll be
yeah.
fine.
I thought you were
Um,
gonna offer to shovel our location. I was like, "I'll take that, that's
oh,
fine,
Yeah.
yeah."
I got 2 snow shovels. I don't use a machine, I don't use a
Ooh,
plow, I do it myself.
ooh,
There we
They're neon
go.
green, super, super
ooh.
tough looking. Uh, this, guys, this was awesome. I know we went, yeah, pretty much well over an hour. I was trying to keep it short, but this was just too much fun. I can't wait for everything to get started. I'm gonna keep, supporting the film any way I can, sharing things, just making sure I tell friends about it, telling potential financiers.
Appreciate
Anybody
it,
like,
Yeah.
hey, how
appreciate
much
it.
money do you have? You keep saying you have a lot of money. Why don't you
Yeah,
prove it? Here's a project
yeah,
you should
can
donate
you
to.
yeah,
Yeah, this is. I can't wait. I have nothing else left outside of our awkward goodbye. So if you guys are ready for that, uh,
yeah.
we'll go off on a really beige kind of outro. Um, Sorry, I thought I heard my. It's after Halloween. Why am I hearing home invasion sounds? Okay. All right. So yes. God damn it. Awkward goodbye. I'm just gonna do a 3, 2, 1 silent countdown. When I point to you guys, give us your best verbal and visual awkward goodbye, and we'll stop the recording from there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Here we go. In.
Yeah, no, it's
Wait.
good to
Oh, wait.
wait.
Oh, no,
No,
you
no, you
go.
go,
No,
you go.
I
No,
go.
it's good to see you.
Yeah. Is
No,
this
it's
a
good to
hug?
see you.
Is
I'm so
this a
sorry. I'm so
handshake?
sorry. It's good to see
Oh.
you.